As a person who has tried to commit suicide, there are so many thoughts that race through your head. I feel like before I get into that, I should give some background about the situation. April 24th of this year will be a date I will never be able to forget. I had been feeling suicidal for a while but never acted on it. I ignored it. I thought I had a perfect life. I had a job, I was in school, I had wonderful friends, my family was very supportive, and I had a boyfriend who I loved at the time. However, trying to juggle working a 20-hour job, 15 credit hours, all while trying to have a social life and a stable relationship with my ex-boyfriend and my family, the pressure became too much. I was exhausted from working a job I hated, that I would miss a ton of class. That and I was too emotionally invested in my relationship. I spent most of my time at work or with my boyfriend. No one could tell, but I was drowning the entire time. I have been depressed and anxious my entire life, but was officially diagnosed at the age of 15. I have also struggled with serious body dysmorphia from a young age, so much so that I have an eating disorder that is active at times and inactive at others. I also recently learned that I may have bipolar disorder. But at the time, I wasn't getting the help I needed. I had no time to go see a therapist. That and the idea of actually sitting down and talking about my feelings was something I did not want to do. So, I stuck to taking my prescribed 100 milligrams of Zoloft, smoking weed, occasionally drinking, and taking naps. Life seemed to be going great until the 24th. Unfortunately, life sees you when you're up and throws you down. That's exactly what happened to me. I had to work early in the morning for a catering order and it was a busy day at work anyways. I was left exhausted and wanted to crawl into my bed. I had gotten into an argument with my boyfriend the night before. I got off work and was anxious to talk to him, hoping he could cheer me up, like he usually did. This time was very different. I told him how I felt about work and that I was upset because I didn't know where our relationship stood. He kept dodging the question and kept telling me to take a nap and that I would feel better if I just relaxed. I called him out on it and that's when the truth came out. He didn't know if he wanted to be with me anymore. I was shocked and confused as to where this was coming from. He had told me he wanted to spend the next 70 years with me, that there was no other girl like me, and that I was basically the perfect girl for him. He loved me and I loved him. Granted, we had only been dating for 2 months and maybe that was the problem, but at the time, I felt in my heart that I wanted to be with him forever and he felt the same way. I guess forever has a deadline. I asked him what made him feel this way, thinking the answer would make me feel better. It did not. He told me that he didn't want kids in the future but he knew that I did. He also said he was stressed about school and his new job and the fact that his car recently started having problems. He also mentioned that he wanted to be with someone he was more compatible with because I flipped out when he wouldn't answer my text messages. He said he didn't want a romantic relationship with me but didn't want to end things over text. He wanted to wait a week before he would be able to talk to me. I felt lost and like I didn't have a boyfriend at that time, even though we weren't broken up. My anxiety was through the roof and my heart was broken. I cried for hours and was consoled by my roommate, my Ra, and my other friends. They helped cheer me up and I felt a little better for a while. That was, until I had another panic attack. That's when suicide was racing through my head. I was already stressed with work and school, college being a lot harder than high school. The drama with my relationship pushed me over the edge, which I now regret, but at the time I saw no other solution. I couldn't stop blaming myself for my relationship ending. I blamed myself for not going to class because I was exhausted. I blamed myself for everything wrong happening in my life. I thought to myself, my family and friends would be so much better without me. I am a burden to them and they do not need me anymore. I could leave the world and their troubles would leave too. So, I took a bunch of my Zoloft pills which were prescribed for my depression and anxiety. Immediately, I felt a sense of dread run through my body. I knew if I left the world I would break my family and friends' hearts. I would never get to become a lawyer. I would never be able to leave the country. I would never be able to get married or have kids. I couldn't have a dog of my own. I then texted my mom and told her what I did. I told my roommate what I did and she told the raw. I kept apologizing over and over and they told me not to apologize. My mom ended up calling me sobbing, and I remember asking her if she still loved me. I was in a very dark place. My roommate held me while I cried and started to doze off as the pills made me very drowsy. A police officer came into my room and asked about the situation. The next thing I knew, I was being put on a gurney. Is that how you spell it? It's the thing they wheel people on in hospitals and onto ambulances, and I was being strapped in. A bunch of EMT workers asked me questions about what happened, and that was the first time I rode into an ambulance. I saw my mom before I got in and cried while telling her how sorry I was. I wanted to hurt myself even more for hurting her. I wanted to force pain upon myself to make up for the pain I caused everyone else. At the hospital, they took all of my clothes and personal belongings from me. I only had left my underwear, a pair of pajama shorts, my glasses, and a gown they had me wear. I couldn't even go to the bathroom by myself at first. They gave me a charcoal milkshake to help clean my system of the pills. They also hooked heart monitors up to me and put an IV into my arm to help with nausea. I requested a call button so I could watch TV and they gave it to me, only because my mom and stepdad were in the room. Eventually I was given a safety plan and was allowed to go home with my parents. I felt so hungry but had no appetite, if that makes any sense. In the car ride home, I ended up throwing up a few times. I also had updated my friends and family on how things went. I also updated my boyfriend. He was concerned and worried. I contemplated not telling him. But I did, which I'm glad I did. However, it led to him telling me he couldn't do this anymore and he dumped me via text. He then blocked me on everything. I was hurt but I saw it coming. In days coming I would end up crying on and off because I missed him. I would have the urge to want to hurt myself for making everyone worry, for making my mom miss work, and for ruining my relationship. However, as of recently, I have been trying to get my life together. I got all of my school situation figured out, I quit my job, and I have my first therapy appointment today at noon. There is a moral to this story and here's what it is. Do not end your life. I promise at least one person will be broken without you, if not more people. When it happened, so many people were checking on me and asking me if I was okay. So many people reached out a helping hand. Your life matters and someone cares. Also, your life is not worth ending over a person, especially a person you date. I now realize that he was not the person for me. I understand why he left, but that does not stop the pain. It just shows his true colors. Thank you for reading this, if you did. I didn't post this to beg for attention or get sympathy from others. I posted this to help someone else understand the mind of someone in that state or maybe help someone who is considering suicide. Life gets better. Please stick around to see its beauty.